So we've already discussed this. This was the first question of how many people use ChatGPT. So you've answered, but it's also because London is watching. So for anyone who's watching online, a lot of people here have used it. Okay, what is the craziest thing you asked? Or really naughty thing you asked? Come on. Own up, come on. It's only being recorded and goes on YouTube. And a few million people will watch it. But come on, anything you've done?
I asked which was the difference between a kilo of feathers and a kilo of copper. And it was different. So ChatGPT was wrong. Actually.
Yeah. Any other examples?
I asked for a friend of mine how to get a boyfriend.
Yes.
Mine.
ChatGPT answered to get outside, but that was already the problem for her, so.
Yeah, I think a lot of relationship advice is being asked for. Yes, of course. Yes. Any other examples? Okay, all right, let's move on. But you can do a lot of things. A lot of the questions I ask, sometimes I get the response that this is not something that they support because I'm asking for some really naughty things. Okay, so how many of you are worried that you might lose your job because of ChatGPT? Okay, one person. Okay. So when ChatGPT came out, I'll be honest, I was quite nervous. I run a company called CityFALCON. We are a team of 51 people, and it was making me nervous because the way this works, and this is just a start, it could put a lot of things, a lot of professions out of work. And this remains a big risk. It's like, people give an example of having a calculator and you don't have to think anymore and you're using a calculator. Or another example is where Excel came about and now you don't have to punch numbers and do those. So what we need to do is we need to adapt our skills. But the problem here might be that the scale of change is so huge that it might just put a lot of professions out of work and not have enough replacement jobs or skills to learn. So that's the challenge that this brings for us. So now how many people are worried? Okay, anything I say doesn't make any impact on you guys. So I asked ChatGPT like the impact on jobs, and I know it's a lot of text, but the answers are kind of expected. So the positive impacts are around decision making, kind of having an assistant, improving your productivity, all of those things. And negative impacts, the first was job displacement. Second was skill mismatch, which was if we have to work with more machine learning, more AI, more data sets, we need these kind of humans, these kind of skill sets from humans to be able to train the machines. Anyone watch Black Mirror? Did you guys watch the episode where every day you wake up and you do cycling all day? Yes. And this is probably like an example, it's an extreme example of what you need to do when machines are doing all the work, right? You need to be able to generate electricity, power, whatever it needs, right, for consumption. And so there are a lot of things that could happen there. Increased competition, as we see right now, because the trillion-dollar companies are worried that basically they may not exist after a while. And this we've seen in the past. I used to work for a pretty amazing company in terms of treating their employee, but Nokia, have you guys heard of Nokia?
Of course.
Yeah, so I used to work with them in London 10 years back. $60 billion on the balance sheet, 60 billion. And they lost from there when iPhone was released. So separate conversation on why it happened. I was there talking to a lot of, I was an analyst basically, so I got to talk to a lot of the senior management. It was quite interesting why Nokia failed. A conversation over drinks maybe. So it says that, the last line, if you see, it says, will continue to reshape the job market in the coming years. Any thoughts on this before we move on? How's it going? London can see us? No, we can see London as well. Nice. Okay. Any questions, any thoughts before we move on? Okay. Are we excited? Imagine waking up in the morning, going to play paddle or whatever sports you like. Lunch is ready for you at home when you arrive. Everything is taken care of. We get something called, anyone knows the concept of, what's called, universal basic income?
Yes.
Yeah. So the idea that government gives you a fixed amount of money each month, and then you don't have to do anything. It's like your social support, social security. Would that be fun? What do you guys think? No, you guys want to go to work every day? Yes. Yeah, love the passion. Yes.
I think like working will be a privilege one day.
Okay. Working would be a privilege. Okay. All right. So people will be desperate. Give me some work. Yeah. Yeah. Or we go crazy. Or even the way we look might be different. We don't use our brain anymore. So like a tiny brain, like aliens. Okay. Any other thoughts? Excitement? How many people are excited about ChatGPT and AI? Oh wow, quite a few. Okay. Okay. Has anyone made any changes to their way they think after ChatGPT came out?
Well, actually, my son is a good example for this because my son is working. My son is 15, and he basically says, "Listen, Dad, there's no point of learning anything manual because everything will be replaced by AI." So for him, it makes a really big impact on how he's going to change the rest of his education. So yeah, if they already see it at 15, I mean that's a sign. If we don't see it as adults, well, this means that our eyes are closed.
Fair point. Anyone else? I mean, I did think about it. So before kind of this came out, I was thinking, okay, I'm running a early stage company now. Hopefully get an exit, maybe run another tech company after this. But I think about it, there's no point doing another tech company. It's going to change. So I was actually thinking to have like a sports center or something. Because if you have no work to do, then you probably want entertainment and sports, and this could be interesting. So yeah. So what is ChatGPT, right? So we talked a lot about it. This is the explanation that it gives about itself. And if you see your large language model, so it's just language, these models have been created by multiple companies. A lot of it is open source, which means any one of us can go and use it. The challenge obviously is to work with it and process it might cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. To train a model and execute it. It's trained on vast amount of text data. Do you guys know where they get all this text data from? Any idea? Any guesses? Which is the number one source of getting free information without any restrictions on the internet?
Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia, right? Anyone can use it. If you look at their, you can use it commercially in any place. So all of this content is basically picked up by these machines. What other data can they pick up? GitHub, yes, and Microsoft is in favor of OpenAI. So anyone who doesn't know, GitHub is where developers put their code base and the right technology. So it basically went through all of that. ChatGPT. What else? Social media. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Would be probably a little bit not legal. To completely do that, okay. But I mean, anything on the internet, right? They pretty much can pick up. Grammarly, yeah, but Grammarly I think is just, I don't know if they have a model that they share out open source, but maybe.
No, I thought they would get the information that people are trying to write.
Oh, does Grammarly save my content and use it? I need to cancel my premium subscription. Yeah, it's a good one. I don't know what people do with the data. So, yeah. But the point is that there's a lot of data on the internet, right? So that can be freely used. So this is being used to train the machine, and coherent and contextually relevant text. Now this is important because we at CityFALCON tried some of it in a very low budget and trying to, we pick up news content from 13,000 plus sources. We're processing millions of pieces of content each day. And we said, let's try and summarize things. So let's say Tesla has 1,000 stories. Let's try and summarize in a paragraph. And so our data scientists tried to do that. And it does it, but the problem is that it's not like how a human does it when we tried it and on low budget. And when I saw ChatGPT, I was like blown away in terms of how well that is being done. And so I think that is important on how that's done. And then it talks about different applications like chatbots and translation and text generation. And this is called the generative AI. So what it does is it's tokenizing content from the internet, and it's thinking about what follows a particular word and building sentences. It's just like you writing something, like you're writing a blog post, and it's doing it for you. So any questions on this, on how this works? Anyone wants to add anything, or the technical people in the room?
I was just wondering, I believe it's only up to date to end of 2021 or something like that?
I think 2019, thankfully.
2019.
Yeah. Is it 21?
Yes, actually.
Oh, they changed it. Not good. Okay, 2021. Yeah, okay.
So, are they going to update it, or are we going to be stuck in 10 years' time with data?
That's a good question. So wait for the answer, because I'll tell you there's a point. There might be a reason. I don't know sure. There might be a reason why they're doing this. So I'll share that with you. Okay. But it's a good point. So what he's saying is, like, anything you search on ChatGPT is 2021 updated. So I don't know, if a new company starts in 2022, you might not have information for that over there. So this is what it looks on our platform. So you can actually go and look at ChatGPT. So can I move this to the browser? Would it work? So this is the live site. Oh, no, not open. My computer is trying to do too many things. Oh, you can see it there? Okay. Okay. Guys, sorry, bear with me, 2 minutes. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so this is live on our website right now. And what you can do is, if you're tracking ChatGPT here, you will see that you'll get all the content from a lot of sources, and you will also see a sentiment here. So in the last 1 month, sentiment on ChatGPT is fairly positive. And you can see there's a trend. And so a lot of this we already do with machine learning to figure out the sentiment of something. And then, I mean, you can scroll here and you can see all the content. You see the icons here, positive, negative. But let's focus on, let's start with, we can say, let's start with all the positive content. So what is happening in the phase? So I give it a little bit of time for loading. Oh, it was okay, loading. Yeah, so Elon Musk trying to develop a rival for ChatGPT. This was news from today. Does anyone know the history why he's doing this? Sorry? He started the company and now he's sold it, right? Yeah, so he was one of the founders of OpenAI, which is the ChatGPT, and he doesn't like the direction that ChatGPT has taken, and so he's formed this new company, basically. Hopefully the internets will. There's another news about Snapchat using it in the technology. Facebook announced that they are going to use similar technology for Messenger, so you can be using there. So here yeah, you can see now all the content, like everything that's happening. There's obviously Elon Musk. So Snapchat launches their own version. Microsoft integrating in Bing. So it's incredible how much news we are getting for all of this content. So Google obviously launching new features. So this is kind of what we call an AI race that is going on in the market with all of these big companies. Anyone excited about any of these things that they've seen any of the companies doing with ChatGPT?
All of them are exciting. I can see Skynet there, but all of them are exciting.
Yeah. Skynet scenario is, yeah. I mean, the problem with sci-fi movies is that you find very few sci-fi movies where there's a happy ending, right? Everything is destroyed, and we barely survive, those kind of things. What then we can also look at is now let's look at the things which are negative. So one of the biggest negative news was that a lot of the organizations are cutting down access to ChatGPT. So if you're in your office, you may not have access to ChatGPT. Any idea why? Why do corporations want to control what you see at work and what you do at work?
I understood that they don't want the business secrets, let's say.
Yes. Why would business secrets would go out?
I guess the way that the employees ask the questions.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons. Any other reasons people can think of? Why corporations don't want you to access it?
Maybe the content will be too similar.
To what? Similar to?
If everybody asks the question to ChatGPT, then everybody would have the same answer.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe I missed that. Yeah.
No, I'm saying I think this was brought up more for universities.
Okay.
So if everybody is looking at that source, then you would have very similar answers.
Okay.
Maybe the same is in a business environment.
So kind of some kind of bias that the ChatGPT might build in with the data. Yes. Okay. Any other reasons?
You're still training the capabilities of someone else. Like
We are still training the capabilities of someone else. When I was in Microsoft, they were telling me to use Bing because actually it's an expert system as Google. And once you were using Bing instead of Google, you were empowering another instrument instead of the one of the competitors. So another reason might be Google AI must be trained internally by Google employees.
Yes. Okay.
Just wondering.
Sure. Third person of Microsoft. 3 of us today. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So here you can see basically all the negative news in the media. So with Google, do you know what happened with Google when ChatGPT came out? Anyone knows what happened internally in Google?
They called the founders back.
They called the founders back, and why?
Because it was an emergency and they had to compete.
Yeah, there was a word for it. I think they call it a red alert or something. So they code red, or is it? Maybe a code red. So they issued it when the company saying our entire business could be at risk because of that. So they had to kind of shift priorities to think about what they should be doing next. Does anyone know how much is Google worth today in the stock markets? Any guesses? How much is so Google's most of the money comes from search, right? As we know, search. How much is the value? Is it not how much they make money, but how much investors are paying to buy a Google stock, right? And that's what is called market capitalization. It's $1.2 trillion. 1.2 trillion. So they are trying to defend this space. and they are worried about ChatGPT taking most of that. That's why it's important. So anyway, so I mean, you can play with the platform, and you can, you can see everything in real time, also including tweets. But if we go back to the pitch deck, not pitch deck, but slide deck. I do too many pitches these days for money. Is it okay still? It's okay? Okay, does anyone know the person on the right? Yeah, Sam Altman. He's become a celebrity. Everyone's following what he's saying. So he's the founder or co-founder of OpenAI with Elon Musk. That's why both of them are sitting there. So this, I think, is from 2015 or 16. And what is interesting is that when they founded the company, this is what they said, right? So they want to keep AI out of the hands of the bad boys, right? So that is how the company was started. And the key word is they're launching a non-profit company to save the world. Okay, any thoughts on that?
Save from what?
Huh?
Save from what?
Save from what? Saving you from everything you see in sci-fi movies. It's about how humanity is destroyed. Okay, so this is what, when I asked ChatGPT about OpenAI, read the second paragraph. They have a subsidiary which is for profits now. So it's becoming a bit complicated to understand what the intentions of OpenAI are. And this is why Elon Musk also is saying that he wants to start another company. And this is why we are in scary times. Because I think that mission has kind of changed, or seems to have changed a little bit. So they're for profit, they're taking a lot of money from Microsoft, and then there are competitors of OpenAI who are taking money from Google. So a lot of it is happening. Still not worried? Still not worried? Okay, maybe by the end of the presentation. So, I mean, if you want to see like everything he's saying a lot of things right now. And you would see that again. So we cover people as well, so you can see exactly what he's saying. And if you have time, you should read through some of the stuff he's saying about where OpenAI is going. They're going to launch another version of ChatGPT, which he said that might disappoint people because the expectations are very high, but it would be a much better version of what we see currently. So when that's released, we might have some surprises again. Any thoughts on OpenAI or Sam or what Elon Musk is doing? Okay. So AI as a theme, again, you can track on our website, but there's a lot more happening than just ChatGPT, right? In artificial intelligence, it's affecting a lot of industries, everything from healthcare, even entertainment, everything is changing. So we are trying to track it, and you will see like we track the sentiment as well, and if it changes, so you could click on any of the charts here and see why the sentiment changed, why did it go negative, positive. So you can do that easily here. So I asked again ChatGPT about the challenges for ChatGPT, and these are the 4 things that it came out with. And the first one is trust. Why do you think trust is an issue? Anyone with something like ChatGPT?
That's something to do with the second point, right? Like you don't know who put the information in and what is political what's in there.
Yeah, so it just depends on what data has been given to it as inputs. And this is also a problem which could, it's not only about just about the data, but it could be the implications. So for example, there was this case about AI. If you are a colored person, AI thinks that you're more likely to be a criminal, right, than if you're a white person. So depending on what data has been fed into the AI, it could give you different results. And that's the challenge here. Then biases, complexity to understand what's going on. And the 4th one is integration. So it's early days. Everyone wants to jump into this race because If you're a young company, this is how you raise money from venture capital. If you are a public company, if you mention AI, your stock price goes up 20-30%, so you have to talk about it. But I think people are still figuring out what form of integration it will take place. Is there a competitive edge about what you do with Bing or with Google or anything else? Any thoughts? Any other challenges for ChatGPT? We are very quiet lots. Okay. All right. So blog post. How many have written a blog post? Yeah, a few people. Yes. Okay. Now imagine if ChatGPT takes your data and someone asks a question and responds with your data. How do you feel about it? You should be happy, right? Your blog is worth something. Someone cares.
It's good.
It's good, right? You like it, yes. Any worries about why this might be a problem? Copyright and credit, yes. So when you get an answer from ChatGPT, does it give credit to what source it got it from, or who's the person, or and that was the first thing that came to my mind. So we aggregate news content, right? So we have taken a license in the UK with an agency that pays the publications. So we've done this as a small early stage company, but this just came out. There's no credit, nothing going on. How is it even legal? So we're surprised. I think regulation not caught up with what has happened here. And once it catches up, you will have a lot of issues here. And this could be one of the reasons why they don't have latest and real-time content. Because that would be more, like imagine if they pick up everything on Financial Times and give it to you without any credit, and then trouble. Right now, and the problem with some of this is, I'm not an expert on this, but you might not even know where this content came from, right? The way it goes into the models, the way it generates it, like it might be putting together a lot of things from a lot of different places. So then I asked again our assistant on what it thinks about copyright. So very interesting answer, and I think this answer has changed from when I checked last. So the key points here are, obviously it takes a large corpus of text data, which we know about, okay? Which is interesting. ChatGPT may include copyrighted material, such as books, so not only blogs. Imagine you writing a book and putting it up on the net and being used for free. And then it says that its use of data may fall under fair use of other exceptions to copyright law. Now, anyone who looks at copyright law, and we have to as a company because we work with a lot of content, it's changing the world over. US has different rules, UK has different, EU has different. The newspaper lobby in the UK is very, very strong. Okay, so they don't want a lot of regulations, free use of data in the UK, for example. But this is strange. And look at the last bit, which is very interesting. So if you were to actually use this technology and data in your application, in your company, it means you might be violating copyright. There might be copyright infringement here. And you would be liable for it. So ChatGPT won't be. Did you guys expect this? Is it a problem? Is it okay? You say it's okay always.
I know it doesn't change much. I mean, instead of doing it yourself from the internet, it's doing it for you. And as a producer of content, if you write as a producer of content, I guess if you write something, a message, you want to get an idea across, whether they read it from Google search or ChatGPT feeds it to them. For me as a writer, I just want people for my ideas to spread.
Yeah, but you want credit for those ideas. I wouldn't be happy if somebody stole my ideas. And that is why even in the University of Malta, they don't want them to use ChatGPT for their assignments. Now I'm understanding more why. And also fact-checking. I mean, if you're writing something and it's not fact-checked just because, I mean, what is the validity of it all?
Yeah. Anyone else? Absolutely. So you want to say this?
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking, even if you were to produce some content that you just copy and pasted or use the data from another website and then you just publish it on your website, that would be plagiarism. So ChatGPT is just doing the same thing. Like it's up to the user, you know, to
Yeah,
check
and it's the
that.
difference is instead of Luca doing one person doing it, it's done at scale.
I guess as well, it's like if I can think about blog writing, I guess a lot for my business. So I think the more content I put out there about my business, the more I'm training ChatGPT to tell people stuff I want them to know about my business. So that's how I'm thinking about it.
I guess it's also because that's not your core revenue stream, right? You have some revenue stream. This is kind of an addition for your search engine optimization or something else. But imagine if this is your only source of income.
And you're a creative person, and
Yes.
you're a writer, whatever. I mean, that's
Yes.
that's what you want.
And it's one of the jobs that they're talking about, books being written by ChatGPT. And this is why a lot of the tools are being built now to detect whether content is written by a human or by a machine. And sorry, you want to say?
I just think it's kind of, if you think about the process of writing an article and you go and you read a bunch of content, you learn about the subject, you're ingesting all that information, and then you think about it, and then you write what you learn down in an article. And this is basically the same thing, because you could say to ChatGPT, write this in a witty, funny tone, right? And it'll produce it in an original style based on what it learned. So it's basically the same. Like, same thing with Midjourney and the image generation and the lawsuits. It's like all these artists are being inspired by other works that they've seen, and then they produce art. Same thing with the art generation. So it's very nuanced.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Yeah.
I would say
This one.
I would say so long as you as an author don't create anything new in regard to the information that you collected, you have no right to say, oh my god, ChatGPT is taking my spot of work away, because all you're doing at that point is aggregating information and accumulating it, but there's no creativity involved. You're merely gathering the information that's already there and displaying it in a more appealing way potentially, and in a different way of nuancing it, but there is no creativity in the sense that you are adding original thought to it. So as long as this is not the case, I don't think it should be protected under copyright. And you can see this in the recent rulings in the US, for example, where there's been lawsuits, as you just said, for image generation AI, which is very much the same thing in terms of generative AIs, and they cannot be protected by copyright law, which is what the court ruling says. So all the artists would be able to come up with the same argument and say, hey, well, my work is taken by this, and it's using my data to generate those artworks, but suddenly I'm out of business. But if you're out of business because there's a program that just aggregates information and displays it, then maybe your business wasn't as original in the first place.
Yeah, very fair point. Okay, there were more. Yeah. This is one at the back.
Because I thought about it for artists as well. One time I wrote a poem recently and I put it into ChatGPT and I asked it to make this a rap song like that sounds like Kid Cudi, and like it was my unique work, so it's my words, it's not ChatGPT's words, it's all my words. It just adjusted it because I'm not very skilled at actually matching the rhythm and that stuff. So I don't know, maybe for me, if I was an artist, if I had to think like an artist / businessman, I would say, why can't I look at it as something that can make me, instead of producing one song a month, I could produce 10 songs a month. But it's still my unique work. I'm still putting my unique input. It's just helping me to produce more.
Sure. More thoughts?
No, I was just going to say, I'm not a copyright lawyer. It seems to be picking up information or data or whatever that's available publicly on the internet in templates or other. And if you're running your business in an intelligent way, you might put teasers out there, but your real intellectual property is going to be behind the paywall, or it's going to be someplace that you can only access by charging people, and presumably it's not going to pay to get stuff from behind paywalls. So I assume it for me it doesn't really change the availability of information on the internet. and therefore it doesn't really change the game at all in that perspective.
That's a very good point. But imagine what you actually came up with a very good point. So if you're a publication right now, what you would do is you put more content behind paywalls, right? Which means less access for all of us. Imagine having multiple subscriptions. But then you can get CityFALCON subscription and we aggregate everything. Just so that you know, even paywall content. But it's a problem more and more because advertising no longer it's a sustainable revenue source for these companies anymore. So yeah, but this is the shift that's happening in the space. Any other thoughts? Or we move on? Oh, there's one more. Okay.
I was thinking a bit, and do you remember the wonderful and fancy thing that was saying reCAPTCHA is code, and was saying I'm not a robot, and you have to click it and then to prove your identity. In truth, now you are seeing it long way less on the internet, right? On the modern things, but in truth, that thing haven't disappeared. It's still there. So we can understand if someone is a robot or not. At least that reCAPTCHA in particular has been made by Google, which is a competitor of ChatGPT. Maybe it won't work for their intelligence, God knows, but Google is working hard for us to understand who is a robot and who is not. So if your content is leaked in ChatGPT, you are publishing in the wrong place, guys. Folks, sorry, I want to be inclusive. Folks, you are publishing in the wrong place and you're using the wrong services. Find a way to secure your content as creators. And that's sometimes it's just a matter of culture. And it's a choice. For example, ChatGPT is not mentioning where it gets the content, but imagine Alexa is doing it. Don't know if you have an Alexa at home, but the very first annoying part before the answer, which is usually wrong, is where it gets the answer from. So
yeah, you're right, and that's why there's a shift in the mindset here. There's a shift in you need new services to support this mindset as well, and how you do it. Yeah.
And I'm sure that the institution will get immediately after this problem as usual. But in the meantime, I trust that technology will cope with the technology, avoiding us to leak content, new content, because the past one, usually the legacy content or the one we already published, it's hard that people will come back and update them or fix them. We never fix them.
Yeah, fair points. Okay. Just wanted to check, London, you guys can hear us properly, even the comments and everything? Yeah, if they, or any questions from them?
They are having their own discussion.
Okay, there. Okay, that's fine then. Okay. So we talked about this, right? It's things are going to change. And so just something for us to keep in mind as we go about thinking whether, your kids, what education they're going to get, or what are you going to do moving forward? Are you going to leave your job to run a tech startup? Maybe not anymore. So all of those things are things we have to consider now. So this is again answer from ChatGPT about the benefits and where a lot of these technologies can be used. And so customer service, yes, it's a problem. Like if you are just answering questions when people call up about basic things, those jobs are going to be replaced very quickly. And more AI is coming in place wherein all you do is just feed all your data sets and then it's coming up with answers. It's not even structured. You don't have to train it. Like it's taken out of the box basically with some other technologies. E-commerce, right? So when you think about kind of recommendations, what you should be buying, all of those things can be done by AI. So that can again have an effect. Healthcare, would we need doctors in the future for examining us? Maybe if you need physical examination, but if you had, I do use WebMD a lot, so I'll probably step ahead from you guys. But if you had common cold, certain things, maybe healthcare changes. And so there are a lot of education, yes, and if you have metaverse, then you don't need anything, right? So you have a AI tutor if you actually need to learn, or Elon Musk will put a chip in our brain, and that's it. We don't need education anymore. Media entertainment, we talked about AI movies, books, contributions, financial services, again, the same. Maybe the stock market will be run by bots and we don't need to think about ideas. The crypto market also, it will come up with its own crypto coin, do whatever. So, so anything that needs kind of natural language processing, which is like how we interact with each other, if machines can understand that and now they can generate content like we do, then yeah, we have a problem. Any other professions or any other industries people think might be affected? Everything? Okay, yes, everything. Hospitality? Okay. Sorry? Okay. Okay, all right. Let's move on. So again, if you wanted to, because we're stock market also, like you can mix and match. So what we've done here is we've said artificial intelligence and stock market. So you can create a query like this to figure out what stories are relevant. So you can mix and match over there. So stock markets. We spoke a lot about ChatGPT in general, but let's think about how we can take advantage of this opportunity, right? So you might have money sitting in the bank and you want to be part of this kind of change that is happening. So we already have a lot of 4 ETFs that I could find that talk about artificial intelligence. And to be transparent and honest, I haven't gone through each one of these, but so you want to look at what they do in terms of artificial intelligence. Are they identifying companies to invest in, which I think some of them claim to be, for example, or anything else that they do. So you could be buying a few of these as a kind of a hedge. Let's say, in the future, you have savings, you might not have a job, so you want a retirement pot. So you could do that. Any thoughts? Who might win the race with AI? Everything that all the companies are doing. Any guesses? Is it Microsoft? Is it Google? Will we have so many companies in the future? Will it be 2, 3 instead of these 5, 6? Thoughts?
I think it's too early to tell.
Okay. So you would just diversify and put money on all of these horses instead of one? Okay, that's a good strategy. All right. This is the interesting thing, right? If you look at the tech companies now, most of them have $100 billion or more in their corpus. And now with the layoffs, they have saved more money in payments. They have so much money to do R&D. And so they are going to move very, very fast, everyone in this space. Is it scary yet? No? $100 billion? No, it's okay. All right. So companies that can benefit, right? And this is not an exhaustive list. It's things that I could think of just, in 5 minutes trying to figure out. So one is big tech, right? So the big companies. Google, I put a question mark because it's also the company that has the biggest risk right now in terms of losing revenue. Of course, Facebook, most of their revenue comes from advertising as well. So they might be at risk as well. So that's why they're going towards Messenger. But there might be also a case where Facebook also might have to become a paid subscription service at some point to survive, because there might not be other ways to monetize. Hardware providers, any thoughts on that? So if we are going to do so much AI, we need hardware. We need GPUs, right? Any thoughts on this, on the hardware space for AI?
You got the full supply chain all the way down there. Everyone from TSMC, for example, through to their entire supply network, the sole source, the silicon providers. I think those are all definitely winners.
Exactly. And we've seen this boom before. Originally, it was a gaming boom. So a lot of people gaming, so needed hardware, more fancy machines, custom laptops. Then we saw crypto miners using all of that. So that's happening. Tech solutions. So everyone that gives some kind of solution is moving towards that, some way or the other. So Cloudflare is one company I track, and we've spoken about it before. I also hold the stock. It's a company that and we will talk a little bit about that also. But everyone, IBM, for example, working with natural models for quite some time. So all of these companies are investing there. And then when it comes to startups, so if anyone invests in younger companies, early stage companies, a lot of it focuses deep tech, right? So these companies are getting more money now. And with the venture capital market is always, there's some hype or the other. A while back, it was social media, keeps changing, crypto, now this. Any other companies that people can think of that benefits, or any other sectors?
If I can dream, I would love to be the recycled one, so that we can make a good use of all the crap we are doing while carving silicon and stuff, which is right now not fully recyclable, and we can reuse it. That would be gold, literally.
Yeah. There's one interesting service, and this was a business idea I was thinking of. There's one service, I don't know if it's UK, where there's a robot that can identify, separate out the recycling from the normal waste. And I think that is like everyone, us trying to figure out what is recycled or not, should be done by machines, for example. So, but you're right about this, the impact on the environment with all of this. Yeah, absolutely.
Car companies.
Can you elaborate a little bit more?
The AI tech, autonomous driving, like Tesla, they have obviously right now the biggest platform. Like Lucid Air has come out lately. It's a big competitor against Tesla. And a lot of car companies like BMW, Audi, all the German companies are jumping onto autonomous drive as well. So.
Yeah, fair point. Okay. So I think people have got a little bit scared of autonomous driving with the car taking over the control and all the sci-fi where, if there are 3 children on the road, will it save the 3 children or you in the car? Those kind of things, yeah.
I think there's a whole new industry that's going to be developed on the back of this. I think the important thing about ChatGPT is asking the right questions and asking the right sequence of questions to get the right answer. And in order to do that, you actually need to understand the industry that you're dealing with and what the competitive advantage of that industry is, etc. So there's a whole bunch of people who understand industries and business and how they work, who will develop skills that design the right questions to ask ChatGPT in order to get the right answer. Otherwise, if you don't know the right questions to ask, you can get, it's the old adage, rubbish in, rubbish out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is kind of interesting discussion around that you can have, because as you feed more data to ChatGPT, it knows more about you. So maybe in a month's time, it will start recommending things to you. Right? So that's the things. And the more we feed it the data, that's what it wants. And imagine if all of your social media is connected, everything that you think about, your photos, everything is connected, then you might not have to ask for it. But I understand there is this transition period where there might be industries that need help or to support some of the transitions for the industries that are going to be disrupted right now.
I was thinking the financial system, there must be some algorithm that can do automated trading and do some deep learning or AI on that, and like accumulate all the wealth, and that way can become one of those big players. And also the government with social credit systems. That's not a company.
I think a lot of it is done already. We don't see it. So there are a lot of hedge funds that have been using AI for a lot. So imagine if you have access to, sorry, I'm going technical for people who are not in the stock market, but every trade that has happened with stocks for the last 10 years, for example, right? And if you add any other data that you could have, whether it was interest rate announcement, feed it all that data, right? You could potentially predict what's going to happen with prices in the future based on the factors you have. So a lot of hedge funds have done it. They've made a lot of money. They're just silent. I think it's there are a few hedge funds where, and I also got a call from them for about a company. What they look for is anyone who's building anything with data, Okay, so if you come up and say you can predict what the weather might be tomorrow and which affects something in agriculture, so they reach out to everyone and then they will buy your algorithm or whatever you come up with and they will use it at their hedge fund. So they called us as well and say, okay, what do you have? And show us your data and we'll pay you for it. So there's a lot of that happening. But this is the thing, right? I mean, maybe in 10 years, instead of investing in a stock, you might have to select an algorithm. And there might be 10 algorithms. Say, okay, I put my money in these algorithms and they just do everything for you. And you might not even need a stock market, right? Because it's just allocation of capital, which can now be done by machines. So, yeah, exciting and scary times.
I actually think that's never going to happen.
I actually think that's never going to happen. I think that the banks will be banks and they will keep all the software to themselves and never to the general public, because otherwise they think, yeah, they will run out of business as well. Because banks are earning money from independent traders that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and so I think this is where I think regulation comes in. So it depends on how the governments and regulators manage this. So I think regulators have been very fintech friendly for the last 5-10 years, especially in the UK, US, and they have supported. So we could have a separate stock exchange, which is very different from what you have now, for example. Like the crypto exchanges is one great example, wherein there are no like brokers that you have to pay. You can get all the data from crypto exchanges. Like, you know, if you have to get data from the stock exchange on what trades have happened on the exchange, you have to pay a lot of money. But crypto exchanges is free. So crypto exchanges have shown us how a stock exchange can be better. So those can be. So I'm more positive. I hope regulation will help us get there. We'll see. Any other thoughts? Okay, sorry to put some numbers, but it'd be really bad if it's a stock market discussion and there are no numbers. So bear with me who are not. That's why I put only 10 numbers, I guess. Oh sorry, this went right on the side. I hope people can see it. But market capitalization basically means how much that company is worth. And so you see that Apple is one of the biggest. I think Saudi Aramco, I don't remember now whether it's higher than or less than, but anyway, so $2.3 trillion and 80% of that value comes from iPhones today, which is quite amazing, especially because I used to work for Nokia. And what we have here is called PEG ratio, which is price earnings growth. Not to get too technical, but this is what the market is paying for these companies to buy. And the lower the number, the better for you. You want to buy low and sell when it goes high. Also, typically a PEG ratio, historically, if you look at it, a 1 is a good number. So if anything is below 1, I'm very tempted to invest. When we had recession, you would see companies going at 0.2, 0.3. I would blindly put my money if they're good businesses. So 1 is a good number. And so now when you see here, you see Amazon going at 56, because Amazon still bleeds a lot of money. And there is a rumor that Jeff Bezos might go back to the company to help. So quite expensive in just the quantitative number. I mean, if you believe they might make some changes where they become more profitable, then it's different. What is really interesting here is that look at Google. So the market is actually undervaluing Google, I wouldn't say undervalued, but is giving a lower value to Google compared to all the other companies. And this is, I think, a reflection of where the market believes or could happen to Google with that. So if I were to look at these companies to invest, I would look at these ratios and I would say, okay, they're quite expensive right now. And kind of we are in that AI hype phase where a lot of money is going into some of these companies. So we are going into a recession, there are layoffs and everything, but these companies have managed to hold on to their value quite a lot. Another interesting thing is we haven't really heard much from Apple in terms of what they are doing for AI, which is a bit strange. But maybe they don't need to do it now. Maybe they're working on something. Maybe they will just release something. We don't know. Any thoughts when you see these numbers like 2.3 trillion, Alphabet 1.1 trillion? Amazon almost 1 trillion, massive companies, right? To be disrupted. Thoughts? Anyone has questions on the numbers? Are they easy to understand? I could have added all the zeros with the trillions. So it's one of the metrics to look at PEG ratio if you want to study a little bit more about how to buy growth companies. And this is all about the future. So this is not about now. It's how much do they expect to grow in the future. Anyone holding any of these stocks? Which ones, if you are okay to share?
All of them except for Cloudflare.
All of them except so you're diversified in your take, okay?
Meta and Amazon.
Meta and Amazon, okay. Anyone else?
Just Google.
Just Google. And you bought in the IPO, right? Google IPO. Long time back.
It was quite low.
Yeah, good. Okay. So my personal positions are I am long Cloudflare and I'm short Apple. And it's also because I don't have a lot of money running a business, so that's what I'm doing. So Nvidia is an interesting company, and it's something that has always excited me as a company about what they do. It's a very strong brand. I think if you were to talk to gamers and developers, they really admire this company. I was told that if fresh graduates and if you want to go in this space, you would probably go with Nvidia rather than an AMD or Intel. So exciting company, and they recently announced earnings, and the stock has rallied quite a bit because they think the AI angle is going to really help. So anyone wants to explain what Nvidia does?
Graphical cards for computers.
Graphical cards for computers.
Miners.
And miners, yes, I can see that miner happy face with Nvidia. So you're happy with Nvidia?
And I don't mind myself. It's too energy inefficient.
Oh, okay. Too energy inefficient. Okay. Any other thought? Nvidia, what? Anyone else wants to explain what Nvidia does?
They do a lot of software as well.
Yes.
AI, deep AI software.
AI software, yes. Yes, okay. Anything else? Okay. So these are things that they do at a high level. Obviously, you should understand in their annual report what they do. So hardware, software. So when it comes to AI, a lot of the models and a lot of the technology is open source, and that needs to be integrated. So these hardware support make it easy for you to integrate. So that helps. And then the most important is they have relationships, right, with a lot of the big companies. So everyone's kind of pairing in this AI race. So they have that advantage. So yeah, any questions or thoughts until now, Nvidia?
I have comment here on Facebook that
Yeah.
Nvidia also make massive data centers.
Oh, Nvidia makes massive. I didn't know that massive data centers. Okay.
Makes CPU-based parallel processing hardware.
CPU-based parallel processing hardware. Okay. Someone said on Facebook comments. Okay. All right. So this is the stock price. Again, people who've not looked at charts before, don't panic yet. On the right, you will see the prices. Okay. And you see that it was quite low in 2019. If you would have bought the stock, was less than $50. Okay. At the high that it reached in somewhere in 2022, mid 2022, it was closer to $350. Okay. Then it came down to close to $125, and this was end of last year, and now it's back to $232. So last couple of years, might be a little difficult on your heart if you put too much money into this, but you generally would have done well. So it's going up towards this kind of all-time high again. And if you were to look at this chart over 10 years, then the numbers are phenomenal. Like I think it was something like $7. Okay, if you were born in 2016, I think at one point it was $7. Right now it's 232. Imagine the return you make, right? Maybe the crypto guys might also like this kind of return. Any thoughts on the chart? I mean, people can ask basic questions if there's something you don't understand on the chart.
I mean, the chart is looking kind of too good. It's as if the value of the stock rose incredibly when it's just the excessive money printing of the US that facilitated that growth in almost everything, right? So the current price is probably more representative of the valuation than the spike we saw before, even though we're still overdue on the implications of the money printing. So we can see this in the broader market. There is still a correction likely to be coming, and the bond market that you mentioned before is also seeing this. So big players think there's a lot of bad things to come in the near future in terms of the financial markets. So in terms of investing into this AI boom, it's probably a good idea to just dollar cost average in rather than just saying, oh my god, I gotta hop on now. Like you just said, the companies are still overvalued in terms of their PE ratios, so it's probably good to go slow on things.
Yes, agreed. And that's what I would, this is on one of the other slides. I think the challenge, if you have money today, is where will you put your money? Which industry, right? Are you going to put in all the industries that are going to be disrupted by AI? And so it's more likely that there'll be a lot more money going into these stocks, because this is the only place you can invest if you believe that the future is AI. So I personally am tracking the stock. I haven't bought anything yet, but I would want to start accumulating, as you said, dollars, averaging, dollar cost averaging. So buy a little bit, and then increase your position in the stock.
Or even just selling options.
I think it'd be too complicated for this crowd, but yes, there are other strategies you can do, a little bit more risky, but yeah, and with using leverage. So this is in comparison to what has happened to Google. Okay, so if you look at most tech stocks over the last 3 months, 6 months, we had a big fall because of the recession starting, and then a lot of these companies have recovered, but not Google. Okay, and this is where the panic button is in Google right now. So apart from the layoffs, the stock that you have might not be worth much. So it was $150 at some point in 2022. Now it's $90 and on a downtrend. So anyone who's thinking of buying Google? Do you think they might be able to do a better job than? So one of the things they mentioned was, going back to our discussion about giving credit to source, they claim that in Bard, which is what they're launching, they will be able to do that, to give credit to source from where the data came from. So yeah. So again, depends on your view on what you think Google can do. Now the downside of investing in some of these big techs is the question that will the governments now allow these companies to dominate multiple industries, go so huge that they cannot control it. They will have a massive, I don't know, like a group of lawyers, lobbyists, which will basically not allow governments to function the way they are. So any thoughts on big tech and breaking them down? There were discussions about the US talking about breaking up Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, for example, because it's dominating the communications market, for example. Do we believe this might happen?
Any such steps would only be for the public image anyway. I mean, it's not like those companies are run by idiots, right? Behind the scenes, they are well integrated in their circuits, and I mean, they pay effectively zero tax across Europe. So all those break-up strategies are more so a publicity move than they would actually have an impact on the markets or the valuations of those things.
And you think that it will continue given the prospect that these big techs will become even more powerful and diversify in several industries?
Yes, definitely. I think the beauty about this AI boom is that AI as a technology is not proprietary in its assets, right? So the models and the science that's behind this is someone that everybody can use, everybody can understand. And the reason that those companies are at the place they are at, like OpenAI right now, is not that they possess exclusive knowledge or they would be smarter than everybody else. It's just that they put the right amount of resources in the right models at the right point in time. But that's nothing that's exclusive to them or that only this one company could do, like inventing the iPhone or something, and then you can put a patent on it, and then it's yours, and you have a revenue stream. But you cannot patent the AI model itself. That's public domain knowledge. So everybody can just come in, build a model, feed it data, and have a product.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone has worked for any big corporations. I have for a few. And the challenge that a lot of industries face is that, let's say you're good in something, you're an entertainment company, you're really good at it. You may not function the way a tech company works. Thinking about building products, thinking about building technology, that's the challenge for these guys. But yeah, fair points on what could happen. Any other thoughts on this? Yeah.
No, the government don't need to break up big tech companies. The reality is the 10 biggest companies 10 years ago are not the 10 biggest companies now, and it's going to be the same in the next 5 to 10 years. That those companies you've got up there as being the biggest companies are going to decline, and another set of big companies are going to be in their place. So the market looks after, and innovation in the market looks after that process. The government don't need to get involved in that. And you're never going to have the American government are never going to get involved in breaking up their star companies, even though they don't pay much tax in the US.
Yeah, it's the free market kind of thinking. Yeah, okay. Anyone else? Okay. So my personal strategy, and you guys can share your strategies, is so my feeling is, having seen a lot of booms and busts, is that we are in this AI hype phase, right? Which is where everyone's excited, putting money before thinking, and then some of them will be disappointed. Maybe because Nvidia doesn't sell enough hardware like the market expects. So my strategy is to buy on disappointments, especially good companies, and then of course diversify and accumulate. So I wouldn't put all my money right now in everything that is AI. My personal positions, just for put down just for disclosure, so you know that's what I'm doing. Any thoughts from anyone on their strategies?
I really like Cloudflare as a company. I really like Cloudflare. I don't buy it, but I use it. So why do you buy it? Why are you long?
So I've done a full presentation, which is also on the website, by the way. So Cloudflare I use daily as well, and it has made a huge impact on our business. So anyone who doesn't know Cloudflare, it's basically into a lot of different things, from cybersecurity to delivering content on the internet. So they claim that 35% of internet traffic goes through that. And they're significantly cheaper than AWS. So as a client, I prefer them. I had a call with them this morning saying, I pay a lot of money on AWS, can they help me reduce on their side? So they're helping me figure that out. So I know the features. They've got some amazing products launched. And one of the things that, going back to the slide, the reason I'm buying it is that if you look at the market capitalization of this company, it's at 20 billion compared to everything else. So it's still a fairly, in this space, a low valued company. It is a potential, I think, acquisition target, but I hope they don't sell and they grow by themselves. So these are the reasons. But if you want to see the full deck or discuss over a drink, we can do that. One thing I will say is that I had gotten at a good valuation, but then one thing I track is also insider transactions. So I track on our website when CEOs, CFOs, the key people in the company are selling or buying their stock. So the stock was actually doing well, and the CEO started selling some of the stock. So that was a bit of negative, which I also squared off a little bit of my position, but I still have a decent position in it. And that was one downside of it. Yeah. Any other strategies or thoughts? Okay, we're almost at the end. Oh no, this is. Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course. And this is the AI hype. So probably in a month's time, we will have our own chatbot on our website on cityfalcon.com. So it's still in the early stages. Also, if you want to download, we essentially just make sense of what is going on in the market in different sectors, different stocks, securities. So you can build your portfolio and monitor it. And you can see some of the clients that already use us. So if you're already a eToro user or a wealth management client on BNP Paribas, you already access our content through that. We also have a mobile app if you want to, much easier to use. And that's it really. So thank you very much for coming. If you have any questions, you can ask now in the next 2 or 3 minutes because people are restless, want to have a drink or whatever, go to the bathroom. So any questions now?
How does your chatbot work?
So we've not gone the ChatGPT way yet. We are doing more what is called a supervised learning. So we are creating different scenarios. So what we're trying to build is everything that you can do in our website, or everything that a value investor or investor wants to do, you can do. So for example, you say, okay, how is my portfolio doing today? And we should be able to say the portfolio is up 2% today because Amazon in your portfolio went up 1% because Amazon is launching a new product. So to be able to answer those questions instead of you going in search of it. But it's very supervised. So we're going to launch slowly. We're going to control what the output is instead of going the generative AI way. That's our strategy. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. If you have questions, and we'll do this event monthly. So if you join on Facebook or Meetup, we'll let you know. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.